Friends, I hope you are well today. This afternoon, I'm going to discuss reevaluating the carnivore diet, or as I might put it, I'm going to compare the carnivore diet versus a modified low carbohydrate, high protein diet. In the weeks before I went full on onto the carnivore diet, I modified my diet first to a high protein, low carb diet. And that did actually work very well for me. I lost a good amount of weight in the 2-3 weeks I was on it. And it was fairly simple to follow and made it the transition to the full carnivore diet easier because I was already changing what I had been eating previously. But now I've been off the carnivore diet for 8 weeks. I did have a start getting back on it, but I only lasted 4 days. I got back on it, but after 4 days went off it due to giving in to stress and emotional factors. Anyway, so I've started thinking, well, maybe I should not go back on the carnivore diet. Maybe I should go on the modified low carb, high protein diet. And so I've been thinking about that. And these are the thoughts I've had about it. And first, the pros of the carnivore diet are it controls the sugar cravings and my sugar addiction. When you're fully on it and I've gotten the sugar out of my system, it is an easier diet to follow than most because I'm not eating any sugar whatsoever and I'm not setting off any physical cravings within my body, and I'm not setting off the so-called sugar monster and making myself crazy to be eating all the time. Whereas when you're eating just protein, you're satiated, you don't get hungry as much, and you don't get cravings as much, and that kind of thing. And also, when I was on the carnivore diet, my depression was less. I was able to control it better because I did not have the sugar in my system, basically making me crazy. But I also had improved ADHD symptoms. I had less activity in the brain, scrambling things, and I was able to function better and stay on task. I was functioning with my depression and my ADHD under decent control, even in wintertime. I was doing fairly well until winter got much worse or longer, but it was helping a great deal and things like that. The pros of the modified low carb diet and high protein diet are actually similar to the carnivore diet. All the same pros as far as, less depression, better ADHD symptoms, and more control over my sugar cravings and my sugar addiction, but with limitations. It has the same benefits, but not to the same extent. Whereas things are absolute with the carnivore diet. There is no sugar interference. Whereas even with a low carb, if I eat the wrong fruit or if I eat something that has a carbohydrate that I don't even know affects me, like, for example, one I know affects me is I basically can't eat oatmeal without having the same effect as eating a candy bar. It's the same thing. So if I'm on a low carb diet and eating some carbs, I might accidentally eat something that could set off my physical symptoms and stuff. Whereas on the carnivore diet, I don't have that. So the pros of the modified diet get the same benefits of the carnivore, but not as absolute and to the same extent. And also the low carb and the high protein diet would offer more food variety. There's not a lot of variety on the carnivore diet, particularly for me, because I'm on the poor man's version. I don't have money to buy lots of different kind of meat cuts. I don't have the money to buy the quality meat cuts. So I'm eating, just eating a lot of eggs and beef patties with some ribeye fins thrown in. So there's not a lot of variety, and that is so that is not as good as with the modified diet. I would have some vegetables and fruits. I could have salads, things like that. And so I would have more variety. I could also eat I get Meals on Wheels delivered to me. I can't eat those when I'm on the carnivore diet because they include foods that are, uh, even their meats have gravies and things added that are not included on the carnivore diet. So I can't eat the Meals on Wheels. So I have much more variety when I'm on the other diet. And also it's easier to afford financially because I do get the Meals on Wheels instead of buying food to make full meals or things like that. So it's cost effective. And I also, when I was on the modified diet, had a better weight loss. I lost weight consistently, whereas that was one of the frustrations with the carnivore diet was not losing weight and stuff. So the cons of the carnivore diet, as I've already mentioned, the cost. I could not afford the cost, so I was not on a quality carnivore version and could not afford the quality things that you can get to supplement your carnivore diet and stuff. And so that was one of the cons. And again, not much variety. And I also suffered from long periods with no weight loss, and that was extremely frustrating. That's one of the main factors of why I ended up going off it when I got so severely depressed, was because I was angry and upset because I was eating 12 to 1400 calories a day and didn't lose weight for 2 months, not an ounce. So it's very difficult to stick to a strict diet and not lose any weight. So that was one of the big cons of the carnivore diet. The cons of the modified low carb, high protein diet is, as I mentioned previously, there's a higher possibility of setting off the sugar addiction and having a sugar reaction to something because I'm eating things with carbohydrate or sugar in them. Because even natural sugars, if I eat too many bananas or something like that, it can have an adverse effect on me chemically within my body and cause me to start eating too much or craving too much sugar and things like that. Whereas with the carnivore diet, you don't have any of that. And there's also more room for cheating and messing it up because, well, this is more things are allowed. So you get a little more relaxed with, well, I can have this because I can have these things on this diet. Whereas it's so strict on the carnivore diet that there's not any real room. You're either cheating or you're not. Whereas on a modified diet, well, you're allowed some of that. So it just opens the door for it to being easier to cheating and things like that. So my conclusion so far, I haven't really reached one positive yet. My plan is I'm going to give it at least one more definite try to get back on the carnivore diet. Not this weekend, but I have a big stressor with my cat having surgery, teeth cleaning and a bunch of extractions, and it's just stressing me out so much that I just cannot control my eating impulses. So once that's over with, then I do plan to make another concerted attempt to get back on the carnivore diet. And if that's successful, I will probably stay with that for now. But if I struggle as hard as I have the last 8 weeks to get back on it, I may seriously consider just going to a modified low carb, high protein diet that does have some carbs allowed and more variety. And, uh, uh, then even if I get a so-called healthy craving for, like, say, a salad, I could have a salad, whereas on the carnivore diet, I couldn't do that and things. So haven't reached a real decision yet, other than I am going to still try to get back on the carnivore diet. But if it still proves too difficult, I might just say, okay, I gave it my best shot. Let me try to modify my diet and see if that works. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you're having a great day.